Hello, everybody, and welcome to another installment of Aftermath Hours, the weekly podcast of Aftermath.site, a worker-owned, reader-supported website about video games, the internet, and everything that comes after. Aftermath is for the moment fully reader-supported, so if you like what you hear, you should go ahead and subscribe at Aftermath.site. If you don't have a ton of cash on hand right now, because I know a lot of people do not, we really appreciate it if you could leave a review, Apple, Spotify, or wherever else you get your podcasts. I'm Nathan Grayson, and today I'm joined by not one, but two very special guests. Ash Parrish.
Hi, welcome back to me. Why I
Yeah,
did that. I don't know
and a
what I was
multi-time
thinking with
guest.
that.
Um, and once he stops laughing, Joshua Rivera.
Hello. Yes. What's up?
And yeah, they are joining us today for some very special news, which is that both of them are going to be contributing to Aftermath in semi-regular capacities. Ash is about to start joining us for a day per week, kind of like what Isaiah and Nicole are doing, only for one day instead of two because budget. And then Josh is, so a little while back we had a subscriber goal that was for a regular columnist, a monthly columnist basically, and that is Joshua. So yeah, those are
Your
our two new feet.
your subscriber dollars at work.
Yeah,
You
both of these things
enabled
are.
this. Brought to you by viewers like you.
Brought to you by viewers like you, yes.
Exactly.
Maybe even the viewer that is you. It's hard to say. But yeah, this is obviously super cool. Yeah, and so for those who maybe have not followed your work before, I guess just to go like in order, Ash, where do you come from? What kind of stuff do you cover? Why should people be excited to read you on the site?
Well, hi, my name is Ash Parrish. I've been doing this for about 6 years now. Nathan and I used to be colleagues at Kotaku. And then in about 2021, I went over to The Verge where I covered video games for them, where I was for 5 years until I unfortunately got laid off at the end of last month. But yeah, I do a lot of things. I like to cover a lot of different things. One of the things I like covering a lot is weird, horny things that
Yeah.
people like to get up to in video games. So that's pretty much my brand. So if you like monster fucking, I'm your girl. Um, I do all sorts of other things, business news, labor news, pretty much any hat anybody at the Aftermath offices wears, I wear it too. But if you like to read about monster fucking in video games, that's why you should be excited to see me on aftermath.com.site. Sorry. I'll learn eventually.
Yeah, there's a profound lack of monster fucking on the Verge now. Like your absence
I
is
mean,
felt.
they didn't let me do that barely when I was there, so, maybe that's why.
Yeah, instead he just had to like break news and do important stuff, which I don't
I know,
know. Who
right?
needs that?
Yeah.
It's already too
I
much
don't
I mean,
news in
know
the oven.
how. Yeah, I don't know how to monster fuck because of this. Like,
monster fucking cannot be taught. It's something that comes from within you.
okay.
Yeah, you're like,
I
please
mean
teach
that.
me. And Ash is like, no.
Yeah.
um, yeah. So Josh, same question to you. Where have you been in past lives and what are you doing now?
Oh man, I am basically I don't know, entertainment uh, journalist, kind of a critic essayist sort of deal, writing about movies, TVs, and games. And yeah, I was former coworkers with I
Mhm.
think the entire Aftermath crew. Yeah, yeah. Um, Back at Kotaku in like 2019. I had what like a 9-month tenure there, and this was like when Jim Spanfeller like first bought the place. I got hired,
Mhm.
and then they came, and then I left.
Yeah,
When
interesting.
did
Was
you leave?
Huh? When did I
When did
leave?
you leave? Yeah.
I left like right before the holidays in 2019, I want to say. Like I left and then
Oh, that
COVID lockdown
we
was like
literally just
shortly.
missed each other.
Yeah, we had just missed each other. Um, and that's been basically Ash and I for the last 7 years, just missing each other constantly. um, but
I'm a big fan of your work.
oh, same. It's been so fun, like following you. I'm glad that we're collabing here, kind of. Like we're
Yeah.
not doing the same exact thing together, but we're in the same spot. It's like let me think of a non-problematic label. Too hard. Uh, um, but yeah. So yeah, I've been kicking it around for a bit. And sometimes I do that with video games.
Yeah. Um, Actually, a thing that I noticed, because you were talking about how, like, you left Kotaku
Mhm.
after a 9 month or so stint. And I'm guessing that had, probably something to do with, again, the advent of the Spanfeller era.
Mhm.
But yeah, you also, let's see, you were at Polygon for a bit too, right? And then
Mhm.
ended up leaving to go freelance.
Yes.
You are, and like, I don't want this to sound wrong, but like, you are, in my mind, a prolific leaver, and not in a bad way, more in the sense of like, my guess is that you realize that you're not satisfied with where you're at, and you're willing to like bet on yourself. Whereas I feel like a lot of people in media now are like, I can't leave this place because it is a steady income, and there aren't any of those anywhere else. And so,
Mhm.
like, the
Hit
times
my
that you've
fucking
done this,
face, Nathan. Damn.
well, I mean, I also thought The Verge just seemed like a cool place to work. It seemed like they actually like let you do the kind, like they let you publish good work, as opposed to like, you look at other
Yes.
people who are stuck at sites that are functionally content mills, and you can tell that they're dying, but they're also like, well, it's a paycheck. Um, but I guess like Josh, for you, what made you in both those instances be like, yes, I should go, and like,
I
yeah,
mean,
I can, or maybe more to put a more positive spin on it. Yeah, I can like find other ways to make money. I'll be all right.
yeah, I don't know. It's different every time. It was one of those things that like I learned like relatively early that like I could do. Um, it like initially it was like naivete, right? Like the first time I like quit a job was in what 2015 or something like that. Like Business Insider at the time had like a new site called Tech Insider, um, and it was like you know, like they've always had like a startup sort of like energy at the very least, a mindset that they wanted to cultivate. And so when they launched a new vertical, they brought that energy, and they're like, you can do anything. We can do all sorts of stuff. And then I very quickly found out that they didn't really mean anything.
Of
Um,
course.
and the sort of curiosity I had didn't feel like it would be facilitated there. And so I left. Like I started like covertly like asking friends and editors like, hey, if I were to like come to you with like this kind of idea, would it uh, do you think that would find like a purchase at the outlet that you work on? They're like, yeah, it'd be great. So I got like a solid number of yeses. I had like 3 editors that were like interested, and I was like, that's enough for me. And I left. Very different environment now. Don't do that. Like, um, but I mean, you could if you did it in that way, right? Like if you were able to like find people who were like expressly interested in the thing that you wanted to do, and you did the math, and you can make the math work. Um, but harder to do
Hmm.
now.
Yeah, I was gonna say that
Eh,
sounds like something that doesn't exist anymore,
yeah.
for the most part.
Um, but like I also don't know what the world is like in, I don't know, the freelance mm, doodad industry, if you make doodads. I don't know. Like um but yeah, so it's like it's kind of a mixture of you know wanting to do a particular type of work that is like not necessarily uh I don't know, easy to sell,
Hmm.
but just sort of like wanting to I guess sort of like wanting to grow, and then realizing that sometimes the best place to do that is, at an organization, with a team. I'm always an advocate of like, like learning to work with others and working well with others, because that's how you sort of grow. And then there's times where you just got to go, and not even just like bet on yourself, even though that's part of it, but sort of like further your work on your own for a little bit, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
This is
Well,
your
yeah,
training arc.
Yes.
I
Shadow
mean,
boxing, man.
what is life if not one long training arc?
Mhm.
Yeah,
I mean, it
and
could be a
then
party. I mean,
Yeah.
have we ever thought about maybe we should structure the world so that we could just all party all the time? I mean,
I
sounds
based on
see,
impossible until you try.
yeah,
like
based
a
on what's
like a
happening
tournament
around
arc.
us, I would say that we have never thought of that, and that we're trying our hardest to not think of it at all.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I bring that up in part because and actually that's a good segue into what happened this week, or at least one of the things, which is that the Washington Post laid off like 300 people, fully like a third of their workforce. And looking at that and the general media landscape, it's pretty grim. And then of course, Ash, you just got laid off recently. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, like, from the perspective of people who are kind of out there and dealing with that element of things, um, you know, I guess what do you do to sort of like keep it together and maintain hope and like find enough work to stay afloat? Like, how do y'all personally handle it?
It's very funny that you bring that up because I'll remind you of some times when we used to work together, Nathan. I remember when Steven Totilo left as the editor in chief at Kotaku while I was there, and I freaked the fuck out because I looked to him so much, and I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm gonna get fired because I have no idea what I'm doing, and I'll never get a job again, and this is terrible. I had a full meltdown. And then, barely a few months later, I had people knocking on my door asking me, like, hey, do you want to come work for The Verge? I'm sorry, that's how the circumstances under which I left. I was poached. And now I have been laid off for the first time in my adult life. And rather than freaking out, knowing what the landscape is like, knowing that it is a very good possibility that I will never have a full time job like the which that I left, again, I'm not really that worried about it because I'm fighting against things that I can't control. So I'm going to do the things that are within my control, and that's put my work out there. I know my work is good. People wouldn't ask me for it if it wasn't. So I have to find more of those people. And I think I'm going to have to at least try to see if I have the strength to continue that. So we'll see. It's
Yeah.
not good advice. You can't eat that kind of advice. You can't eat hope. I know that's really you can't. And it's
Hmm.
because it's really like cliche when people ask you like, well, how do you do this? How do you do this? And when it's all so bad, I'm like, you just have to keep doing it and hope. Like that has to be your main fuel because it's not going to come from anywhere else because it is so damn bleak. And if you don't got it, you don't got it. That's fine. Just and it sucks because it's not really actionable. You just have to have it, but it is what it is. Ugh, I hate saying that
Uh,
shit.
Next aftermath subscriber goal: machine that dispenses edible hope. In 12
I
different
wish.
flavors. But yeah, I mean, Josh, what about you? Considering that you've been in kind of the freelance realm for a while longer, and like you kind of have to hop between those ice flows, I guess, more regularly. Like, what does that
Yeah.
actually look like for you? I mean, you've obviously been at it for a while. I'm sure that you have a fairly long Rolodex of contexts that you can draw from, at least.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. Like, what do you call it? When I left Polygon uh like a year and a half ago, something like that. Um it felt like it wasn't quite starting over, but it felt a little bit because previous to that, I was at Polygon for like 3-ish, almost 4 years.
Mm.
Um and even that stretch of time, it felt like the scene had changed entirely, you know? Um, so even now, I still feel like I'm like figuring it out every day. I think about quitting every day. It like, like um, it's very much like like Goku training at 100 gravity, like
Yeah, all of your
um,
surroundings are red constantly for reasons that you don't
yeah.
really understand.
hmm And but I don't know. It's for me it is like a sense of like malcontent, where it's just sort of like I have like this restless um uh itch to say something and to figure things out and like put out work that hopefully means something to people, that helps them understand, the world or the things they engage with a little bit better. Um, and this feeling of being useful, you know,
Mhm.
and just sort of uh, being responsible with the platforms that I have in the time that I have them. I don't know how much longer that is. I don't know how much, uh, just because we're
Mhm.
seeing the institutions collapse all around us, and we can only sort of respond so quickly, right? Like Aftermath has been, like growing to the point that, y'all could bring me on for a monthly column, but to replace some of the outlets that we're losing is going to take a
Mhm.
lot of work and time and investment,
Yeah.
Um, so it's, like every day I'm pretty conscious of the fact that like I could be out of the game tomorrow. So like, what should I say today while I can? And that's kind of, um, what I think about, which makes it sound like my work is a little more serious than it is. Like, sometimes, I do find the value of being a fucking goober, like, and not letting them beat that out of me, just
Hmm.
that sense of like joy and humor. Um, but yeah, that's kind of like what I do to keep going. It's not necessarily like uh again, like you were talking about, Ash, it's not like applicable, advice, because it's just something you have to find within yourself, and I can't give that to you.
I know.
I was going to ask like a serious question, but instead I want to ask a more salacious one, which is for both of you, what is your backup plan? You were talking about like you might be out of the game tomorrow. So what's, if that happened, what would you do? Where would you go?
Oh,
Anywhere.
I don't
I'm
know.
not,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not precious about work. I'm not like my mom would always say, like, we don't turn down nothing but our collar, and pretty much inherited that work ethic. So I don't care. Like, as long as you pay me enough and I'm not an, I don't know, a border patrol agent or whatever. Jesus. Like, it's it's really interesting trying to figure out what skills I have that I can transfer, because I've done this for the last 6 years, and before that I was a customer service desk jockey, which I don't feel like my life then has the kind of skills that I want to use in the video game industry, but I might be surprised. I might surprise myself. So, try my hand at different things, freelance, consult work, that kind of stuff, communications. I'm open to all of it. Anything. I think I'll be able to figure it out. I have a weird faith that I will.
Mhm. Um, yeah, Josh, if you had anything to add.
No, I'm not that precious,
Mhm.
where it's just sort of like, I have um yeah, like I don't know. Like some, if I can sweep floor somewhere, I don't know. Like
Yeah, and this is
um
not to say like, it's not to be doom and gloom about it because again, ideally, we're able to pay y'all at least consistently for a while and that helps make ends meet and then you can keep writing. And then, Aftermath for that duration during over the course of this year will magically come into an enormous sum of money and then suddenly we can hire everybody full time and just kind of fix all the problems.
I
Um,
that it was really interesting because I clocked when you were doing the opening that Aftermath is funded for now. You included
yeah,
that. That
yeah.
makes me. I wonder if
Ah,
that's on
shit, I shouldn't have had
purpose.
journalists on the
What are you
show.
doing?
I gotta leave.
But
um,
yeah, not to be I don't know, like too precious about it or anything like that. But I do like, it's funny because like all of my, like the things that like I feel that would fulfill me are also just like doomed industries, like
mhm.
teaching,
Mhm.
like, um,
like teaching,
um,
or in this day and age, anything else at all that you could
yeah,
think of. Yeah,
yeah,
work. I would love to work a job, but unfortunately, those seem to be going away.
yeah, yeah, a W-2. I would like to fill one out, and no one has those anymore.
Yeah, best
I
we could
will
do is W-9 and hope.
Mhm.
I will ride in the back of Waymos and play a harmonica for others' entertainment, and they can give me coins and insurance.
Man, I don't know what the average subscriber age is, but like there was a period in like 2014 where people were just doing that left and right and posting it on YouTube, just like pop-up concerts on the subway and like um the Upworthy era of content, if you remember
Oh
that. I
man,
hated it.
yeah, that was a million years ago. I was thinking a lot about that this week though, because I wrote that article about like Jeffrey Epstein and his connections to the video game industry,
Mhm.
and a lot of that was like
Oh
Steve
boy.
Bannon, and so Steve
Mhm.
Bannon, headed up Breitbart, and that took me right back to that particular era of content, because Breitbart got big because of Facebook. That's when it like achieved its kind of
Yeah.
mainstream penetration or whatever. And yeah, it was just weird to like look back on that moment through the lens of these like relatively powerful people. I mean, Jeffrey Epstein, obviously immensely powerful, or at least immensely influential. And see them discussing the things that we were concerned about when we saw those websites rise to prominence and when Gamergate came to
Mhm.
prominence and all of that, and just like talking about them explicitly. Like one of the lines from that piece, or one of the conversations he's having actually with I think it was Peter Thiel, where they were talking about the like Gawker lawsuit of all things, because Epstein was like, "Yeah, I would have helped fund that if you wanted me to," which that's already insane. Um, but then here, let me pull it up. How does my website work? There we go. Click on that button, and then
The
I click
things that
on
are
that one. Awesome, I did it.
coming out of this and the connection being made, if you were to utter them out loud, would be like your Winter Soldier activation phrase.
Right,
Like
right.
Jeffrey Epstein had a met with Moot the same day Pole was born. Is like, no,
Yeah,
that
although
should turn me into a super soldier, not
yeah, I
shear
don't
my
know.
brain in half.
So I've seen people making that connection, being like, "Oh yeah, Epstein is who convinced Moot to like create, the political board on 4chan," and I'm like, that one's a little more spurious. Like maybe, but we don't have evidence of that. It's clear that Moot kept trying to start like politics stuff on 4chan, or like, starting it being like, "No, that sucked. Never mind. I'm gonna do it again later. No, that also sucked." It's like maybe, I don't know. But this, like right here, so after that whole like, saying that he would have gladly shared your expenses for the Gawker suit, um, yeah, the next month, shortly after the June 2016 referendum that kicked off Brexit, Epstein emailed Thiel saying, "Brexit, just the beginning." And then, return to tribalism, counter to globalization, amazing new alliances. You and I both agreed zero interest rates were too high. And as I said in your office, finding things on their way to collapse was much easier than finding the next bargain. Like, just lays it all out. The entire
Mhm.
plan, which culminated in what we are dealing with now. And so it's just weird to think back to that like Upworthy era of content, which when you put it that way sounds like so trivial. And then it's like, no, no, that was the first domino in
Mhm.
apocalypse.
All of the dominoes starting with like, low tax kicking out the hentai people from something awful. And then the big domino is, the United States invades Greenland, which, makes you sound like a crazy person, but the dots are there.
Yeah. Well, and they were there like the whole time. I mean, people, there were multiple canaries in the coal mine during that era saying, "Hey, you shouldn't let these people have free reign on your platforms. Hey, video game companies, you should say that these people are not welcome in your communities," and so on and so forth. And most of the prominent voices in those areas, up to and including now for more obvious reasons, somebody like a Bobby Kotick at Activision, were like, I think we're just gonna, let that one slide. It's not a big deal.
That guy, in particular, has been surprising to me. Bobby Kotick, just the way he shows up and
I'm sick
continues
of
to
that
show up,
guy.
uh, and and sort of like the gutting of media, right, and the replacement with what we have now, right, and like I think it was that he in that New York Mag piece, right, where he like gives Barry Weiss the idea, or connects her with the people who will fund what becomes the free press.
Uh-huh.
Um, yeah, uh, mad jump scares in that guy's life. Like,
Yeah. And I mean, like, they go further too, because at one point I think he wanted to like buy Kotaku or PC Gamer. Like, he's
I
always
mean, to
been.
say nothing of the
Wait, Ash, I think you froze for a second. Or at least that's what I saw on my end. Just say nothing. What?
you kept talking, so I was gonna let you talk.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. But no, like he's always been, you know, interested, I think, in controlling things in ways that maybe he didn't state outright to the public, but that his actions make apparent. Which I think is what a lot of these people do. Like, even because the way that I sort of concluded my piece was to say, like, you can't necessarily say for sure that like Epstein and Bannon and all these folks set everything in motion that led to our current moment, or that they like were pulling the puppet strings the whole time and they're like these Machiavellian masterminds. They're so smart and brilliant. What you can say though is that all of these very wealthy and powerful people had a vested interest in communicating about these subjects frequently with each other,
Yeah.
and like that clearly at least influenced their thinking, whether it was talking to each other or listening to podcasts about this stuff by people who would eventually become their friends or parts of the Trump administration or whatever. Like, that they were definitely building to this on purpose.
Yeah. I think of it, like you said, I think there's this temptation to think of them like as like planners, hatching schemes and those schemes winning out. And I think it's more like a monkeys on typewriter situation, right? It's like when you're that rich, you can afford to just keep banging at the typewriter. That is like the system of government and economics. Um, and eventually, because you know, uh, capitalism just sort of amasses capital to itself, right? The loci of power will just like fall in your favor, as long
Hmm.
as you stay rich. Um, and those people just stayed rich and got richer and kept just sort of like banging at these typewriters. And eventually, it's just sort of like the thing that people forget about the first Trump administration is that they really thought they were going to lose. They
Hmm.
they all genuinely thought they were going to lose, and when they won, they just sort of like it was like the dog that caught the
Dog that got the
car.
car.
Yeah, and so like a big part of why that administration didn't go as far as it could have, as far as they're going now, is just because they didn't have a plan. They didn't know what they were going to do, and what they could do, and they found out the limits of that, and unfortunately, they got another crack at it, and now they're doing
And
what
they
they're doing
told
now.
us their plan, and they're
Yeah,
pretty well
yeah.
burning through the plan. And now a
Mhm.
bunch of people in Minnesota are waking up like, oh shit, I'm glad you guys are here. I wish you had gotten here sooner. You guys need to stick around, please. Please don't let this fatigue you out, because if you keep looking at the plan, you know what's coming next. Please don't make us have to continue to beat this lesson into you. Please stop letting us get beat for you to learn this lesson. My God.
Yeah. Um, yeah. No, I mean, like, it is very apparent that now but yeah, I think you're right that like they didn't have a plan before and they seem to never. But they can just kind of like do this repeatedly, in part because I think like a primary motivation, and this is something that people already always suspected, but what I think that the Epstein files really reveal is that, you know, these people are friends, and their main incentive, their main motivating force is to help and protect their friends. Like,
Mhm.
it is a very human motivation, unfortunately, to protect the interests of yourself and your friends. And for these folks, definitely in that order, themselves, then their friends. Um, but, when you give people all the power and wealth in the world and then have them operate at scale, and that remains their motivation because they're still people, then, they behave monstrously. Um,
But the
with
good
all
news
of that,
is that we always have people clocking them, and we always will. And hopefully this time the people clocking are have enough power, can amass enough power to stop the assholes. Because I saw that clip of Sir Ian McKellen delivering that monologue talking about immigrants, and fucking Shakespeare wrote it 400 years ago. We have always known what is right and wrong, and sometimes we don't always win the right folk, but we always know. So
yeah.
You see that one, Nathan? That went up this morning. It was good as hell, man.
Uh,
Sir Ian just going to town. Um,
I've not seen that one, no. But I mean, it's cool that he's still, honestly, it's cool that he's still doing anything. I mean, we just lost Catherine O'Hara, and then we have Ian McKellen, who I believe is
Out here,
900 years
go
old,
home.
being like, no, I still got stuff to say before I crumble into dust, which will
Take
happen
his
any
ass
day now.
home. Put
Dude,
him in a pillow.
yeah, I hate thinking he's gonna be filming a Lord of the Rings movie in the summer. He should be chilling,
He should
you
be at
Yeah, no
know?
home. He
kidding.
should not be in the club at the fucking Prancing
Yeah.
Pony. Take your ass home, Gandalf.
Yeah. Yeah, go on another journey to your house. Um, but yeah, no, actually that is because I've actually been like rewatching the Lord of the Rings movies recently, and even in that, he already looks like he's 1,000 years old. And like those movies came out when I was a child. What's going on? Where's the fountain of youth? Where did he find it?
Uh,
Um, but I was going to ask, related to all of the doom and gloom talk and kind of the state of the world. Um, Josh, what is your column about? Because I feel like
oh,
at least the key word of it ties into some of this.
yeah, it's relevant. The column is called "The Work," and it is about resistance in fiction. Um, and basically, I am interested in an expansive view of that word. Um, so, uh, thematically, right? So, for example, this first one that you will read will be about um, a little bit about the recent slate of Oscar nominees, right? And how many of them, One Battle After Another is a big one, but also in different ways, Sinners and The Secret Agent. You could even read this into a film like If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, um, where, some of these are expressly about, you know, uh, resistance movements, right? And some of these are about like formal resistance, right? Like I go a lot to the way Sinners, for example, resist the classic three-act structure. It's a very strangely structured film. And it's more about it's more in line with like musical tradition and blues, and that's the stuff it cares about. Um, and then there's also, something like with If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, which, it's sort of like a cosmic horror motherhood, is kind of how some people describe it. And the movie stays fixed on like Rose Byrne's face, basically for a pain, like an uncomfortable amount of the movie. And you never um, see her child, but you always hear her, and like just off screen, and it's this very effective way of um, just portraying like the protagonist moving through this world, and uh, not giving the audience what they expect to see, and that stress doubles the character stress, and create sort of like a more compelling vision of like motherhood and parenthood, and also the lack of presence of her husband, who he's just a voice off screen in a different way, and an entirely different kind of annoying, because he shouldn't be, you know you know um so I'm interested in things like that, and in this first one will be kind of like, a little more like, I don't know, surveying in nature. But in future columns, I plan to dig in more specifically into one thing and one aspect of how it explores ideas of resistance, whether in like theme, right? Like if it's about, I don't know, I'm pulling this out of a hat, like, the machine games, Wolfenstein games, and how they portray that, or like in form, right, where um, you look at something that toys with expectations and sort of established norms.
Very
Yeah.
excited to hear what you have to say about uh, Wolfenstein, if that's something you decide to write about, because I really, really love the character of Grace Walker. I know Resistance in that game is more centered on, BJ and his motley crew, but Grace, when you first meet her, when her first whole monologue about, her time in the Resistance before BJ came is something that I always remember when I think of great video game performances, especially in terms of Resistance. So I'm
Mhm.
excited to read that.
Yeah. Man, and that would be timely considering that, and this is something that I've heard from people that Wolfenstein 3 is in the works. I think that was like
Mhm.
somebody reported on that anyway. But yeah, that's almost certainly going to be coming out, and that will be interesting given the moment that it's about to meet,
Hmm.
compared to even the moment that the previous Wolfenstein met, which was already like, you can't do marketing about punching Nazis because it might hurt the Nazis' feelings.
I remember
Um,
that. That was you want to talk about a fucking canary in the coal mine. Holy shit. Because that was like 2017. Like that was a
uh-huh.
while ago. Like that was,
Yeah.
yeah, Jesus Lord.
Yeah.
You
First
want to
Trump
talk about some shit
administration.
you couldn't make today?
Yeah. Well, yeah, there was even at the time there was a video where Bethesda's then head of marketing Pete Hines like talked about how like there was an interview where somebody asked about that and he was like, I think it's good to punch Nazis, like basically stood by it in a way where I sincerely doubt any like Microsoft employee,
Would
or like at
allow
least
them
the
to
front
say
facing
now.
one would say
Mm.
that. Yeah. Like now they'd be like, well, I
Yeah.
abhor
These games
violence
aren't
of all
political.
kinds. Yeah, yeah. This is about a fantastical re-envisioning of a historical moment that has passed and will never come back again.
Meanwhile, there's a big old swastika in the background.
Christ, can you imagine?
Yes, I can. I have a feeling we're about to see it.
Yeah. Um, let's see. And because I do want to touch on some of the things that we put in the stream title so that we're not lying to people. Um, but only very briefly because I feel like the main one just wasn't that interesting. There was a Nintendo Direct today, and it was just kind of like showing off things that are going to come to the Switch 2, third-party games, ports, and stuff. Was there anything at all that you saw that you thought was interesting?
I know Joshua did.
Oh, hell yeah. Paranormosite 2. It's not that's not what it's called. I forgot the
Now, say
subtitle.
that word again.
Paranormosite. It's like
Paranormosite.
paranormal and sight just right
Okay,
together.
gotcha.
um, it's a sequel to sequel's kind of a wrong word because it just looks like it's just a banner for spooky games, right? Spooky stories. But the first Paranormosite came out, I want to say, what, 2022, 23, something like that.
Mhm.
Um, and it was like uh, a horror visual novel about like loosely inspired by like ghost stories and Japanese folklore set in the 80s. Um, and you are it does like the branching paths thing where you have to navigate if you've played like a zero escape game kind of.
Mhm.
um, so it's like a mash of that and like Ace Attorney, where it just sort of people are you encounter doomed people and you have to make sure you have to figure out how to not how to save them, more or less from like their
Mhm.
fate. Um, and it is good at scaring you in a way that you don't think these games can scare you. Because again, if you played an Ace Attorney type game or a game where it's just sort of like mostly like a, I don't know, like an adventure game, like a LucasArts thing, like a lot of pointing and clicking and panning across 2D um, environments, right? You don't think, oh, very scary format, but they figure out a way to get you, and I think it's fun. It has some of my favorite um, diabolical solutions to puzzles,
Yeah.
like Psychomantis type stuff, um,
Yeah,
and
like, give me an example.
There is
Mhm.
a puzzle where the ghost basically will kill you if you hear it.
Huh.
And that is your clue to lower the volume all the way. And that is the only way you can survive the scenario and move it forward, you know?
That's
Uh,
very
Yeah.
cute.
yeah.
Yeah, that is like somebody played MGS1 as a kid and they were like, I have to make a whole game this.
Yeah. And so there is like the game is playing you a little bit, you know? And so like those designers are exceedingly clever people. They're having a blast, you know, in the first one, and I'm just sort of like looking forward to them to seeing how they mess with you in this one. In addition to just like, you know, cool ghost stories, you know?
Mhm.
That's a ringing endorsement because A, ringing endorsement. That was a great description. I'm intrigued. And B, because you mentioned the words Ace Attorney and I am desperate, Capcom. I'm desperate. It's been so long since an Ace Attorney game. And don't give me none of that back in time Tokyo bullshit. Give me Phoenix right now. I've had enough time.
Phoenix right now.
Exactly.
Yay. Um,
Yeah.
so that was cool.
When did the last like proper Phoenix Wright game come out? That
You have
feels
the
like it's been
great
an
Ace
eternity.
Attorney if you want to count that.
Mhm.
Technically,
Yeah.
but I don't because Phoenix, I'm sorry, is my only Ace Attorney. I'm sorry, Apollo people. I'm sorry, Athena people. Phoenix.
Yeah, I think that 3DS trilogy set of games is the last one, right?
Hmm.
Because Great Ace Attorney came just after that, um, and it took them years to localize it and release it
Yeah.
in
I
North
did get
America.
Ace Attorney Investigations 2 recently, which I was very happy for. It was okay.
Mhm.
But and I love Miles. I love Miles, but no,
Mhm.
I need to get back to the old G crew.
Dustman K in chat says, I support Phoenix Rights and I support Phoenix Wrongs.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
um,
that's a comrade.
but yeah, it's kind of crazy to think about though, because Phoenix Wright is really popular and remains really
Mhm.
popular in a way that feels more enduring than a lot of video game series. Like,
Especially for
you
a
go
lot
to
of
like,
franchises, yeah.
yeah, like you go to like any convention and there are like 14, Phoenix Wright cosplayers. Like, and that
Oh,
of course is
David
my main metric for
Pursuit.
what is popular and what is not, is how many cosplayers of any sort of person are
It's not a
at
bad
a
one.
convention. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. It measures mind share. And more
Yeah.
importantly, heart share.
Do y'all play Colsep? Have you played a Colsep game? Either of you? No?
Okay, you were talking about this in Slack. So no, I
Yeah.
haven't. I know that name, but I couldn't tell you anything about it other than like I heard that name. Like I think I maybe they mentioned that series like in magazines when I was a teenager, something
I've
like
never
that.
heard of it. I just know they're
Yeah.
corn people.
This was like tucked into like the montage, I think,
Mhm.
but it was kind of a, you know, it's kind of a big deal for like a very small group of people. Concept is kind of like evil Mario Party,
Oh.
but like played as like a solo RPG. Um, and yeah, like the meat of it is like this board game that you play, and it's got like, you know, classic anime RPG sort of like story and vibes. Um, and it's been MIA since, I don't know, I think the last one came out on 3DS.
Hmm.
Um, and they're just wild. Like nobody, there's not quite a game that does it like Concept. Um, and you know, they can be annoying to play, which is like why it'll never be the most popular thing in the world. But I think it's cool. I think it's fun. I think it's like you know, seeing what a 2026 concept is like seems exciting to me. I don't know. Um, and like me and 12 other people are you know, hooting and hollering over
Hmm.
it.
This calls to mind something that's interesting to me, which is that I feel like for a long time there was Mario Party and that was it. And now suddenly we have Mario Party. We have like the Lego take on Mario Party that people seem to like a lot.
That
Um,
game is good. Yeah,
yeah.
I
And then
play
now
it
also,
regularly.
yeah, and then
Like,
also Concept. Like, why are there suddenly more alternatives to like the Mario Party formula? Like, what do publishers see in that they didn't before?
yeah,
Hmm. I mean,
I think
friend
it's just
games are like that's the wave now.
Friend
Playing those
slop.
kind, yeah. I didn't want to call it friend slap because I don't think it necessarily falls into that category for me. But
Mhm.
yeah, it's like we're riding that wave. And great. Good job.
Yeah. Although even then, I feel like a lot of the kind of like quote unquote friend slap games are like co-op. They're like, 4 player, go do some shenanigans, peak, that kind of a thing. Whereas Mario Party feels more like competitive, and also Mario Party, at least to me, has always been like something you play, in a room together as opposed to like over the internet. But then again, I guess like you also had Fall Guys and things like that, which kind of revitalized a more traditional kind of party game, but online. So
Yeah, that game show
yeah,
feel.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Let's see. Oh wait, somebody in chat said Northern Lion plays a lot of Mario Party, so that makes sense. Yeah, he really does.
Mm.
Yeah, they're just doing it all for Northern Lion. That's
Yeah,
the reason
Northern
that all these games are
Lion
coming out.
For
should
Bald
get
Daddy's
into.
approval.
That's what we all
He should
want.
get into Dokapon Kingdom, which is um, a Mario Party like that is like, you know how Mario Party has like inadvertent like screwing people over, right? It's not
Mm-hmm.
like the text of the game; it's just like a thing that happens over the course of play. Dokapon Kingdom is actively about screwing over the people you're playing with.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
Oh wait,
No,
that's
that could never come into my household. Nope. Uh-uh.
yeah. This is why I don't even enjoy Mario Party. Is that I just get very angry when like the things that I've earned in a Mario Party game are suddenly taken away from me by the game with no rhyme or reason.
it's
Actually, maybe I could like
That's
maybe
life,
it would
buddy.
it would be more tolerable to me if someone actively did it as opposed to the game doing it. I don't like the like capricious trickster god that is the game deciding, you don't get to win anymore. Whereas like if somebody that I was playing with, you know, managed to pull it off, I'd be like, okay, well, fair play to you. Like that sucks, but you know,
the way
That's
they.
also real life.
Yeah, yeah. The way they give out stars just arbitrarily in Mario parties,
yeah,
it
it makes me
infuriates me.
insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's like, how dare you? Like,
Yeah.
I can't believe this.
Ash is like
No.
skill issue, just like looking.
um,
Are you a big Mario partier, Ash?
I
Do
am
you, do
not
you
at all
no?
because for exact reasons like that. Like we are too competitive. My husband is too competitive. He he makes things not fun.
yeah.
It's not totally true. Not watching this right now, thank God. So no, not Mario Party. We tried to play Overcooked once and we almost killed each other. So no.
Wow. Damn.
But
Although I also don't
yeah,
really like Overcooked.
so anything that's like you are actively screwing over, the people you're playing with, oh, it would come to like someone said in the chat, knife fight in the phone booth, which I think is very vivid imagery. Good job.
um, that's interesting though, because I feel like, some people who are competitive really lean into it. It's like all they do. It's all they want to do is just compete constantly. And I feel like I am the total opposite because I know that I like have the competitive gene. I never want to do it because being competitive stresses me out. Like I get too locked in on it or I care too much. And I'm like, okay, but this isn't enjoyable. This is just like me having to do this because otherwise I'll be upset. So I'm like, I'm just gonna avoid that. And that these days, like when I was younger, I would like still try more competitive stuff. These days, like if people are playing a board game or something, I'm like, no, that's okay. I'll watch. Like I don't want to actively partake because I will just be like, I'll get upset. That's not fun.
No, my husband leans into it. He just like his toxic masculinity gene activates and he's like, I must win at all costs. Sorry, I'm gonna cheat to do it too. I'm gonna try to win fairly,
That's
but I will also
crazy.
cheat. Yeah. I don't, it's
Really?
the only way that manifests. And so it's actually kind of endearing.
Wait, how does
It's
it
not,
manifest?
it like, he's only like with games, like it's never
Yeah.
with anything else, never with anything else. And because it is only within that very narrow, very playful sphere, it's actually kind of cute.
Yeah.
What can you do?
Wait, how does he cheat in games though?
I, I don't know. I can't think of, he would. I can't think of anything where he has. Why are you going up for him? I feel attacked right now. Jesus Christ.
Oh,
What are
oh,
you
I'm just
you
doing?
curious.
trust him.
I don't think that I know anybody who like cheats in multiplayer games, at least like in the sense of when you're playing them with friends. And so I'm curious about like how would you
Oh,
do
not
that?
multiplayer games, but just like regular board
Oh,
games
okay,
or
okay.
whatever. Yeah, just any kind of like gaming situation.
Mhm.
Sliding extra Monopoly money into his pocket.
Oh, it's never to benefit me. Oh, honey, no, no. Okay.
um, well, speaking of money, I think now it's time to transition to the mailbag, which you can access if you subscribe to Aftermath. If you subscribe at our member tier, that will get you access to our Discord, which is where the mailbag lives. That will allow you to ask us questions every week during the podcast, and it's a great time. Also, just the Discord is cool. It's cool, full of cool people, cool normal people talking about video games and not being insane, which is really hard to find on the modern internet. So I recommend it, and not just because it belongs in part to me.
I actually didn't know that was a perk. I have
Yeah.
several questions in the backlog, but I don't
No,
subscribe anymore because it's a little weird.
I mean, it
I
doesn't really
may
matter if
ask
you're
some
still in the
now.
Discord, so
Yeah.
you can just. Our rule with the Discord is like even if you unsubscribe, you can still just stay there. Who cares?
Okay, cool.
Yeah. All right. Oh wait, no, this is the wrong one. 1 second. I hate when that happens. Do. No. Yes. Yes. Okay, never mind. We got a really similar question last week. Okay, you're cursed to use one horrible controller for the rest of your life. All of them have infinite battery life and have custom input mapping for every console/platform. Of the following, which do you choose? Connect, 3-button flight stick, Wiimote permanently superglued to the official steering wheel, Wavebird that changes to a random frequency channel every 3 minutes. Definitely not that. 16-button MMO mouse. But the optical sensor only ever works on your pant leg.
Oh,
Damn, some really solid options.
These are really specific.
What were the first two again?
Like Connect was one, right?
Connect and a 3-button flight stick.
I'm thinking the less of all of these evils is the Wiimote permanently glued to the steering wheel. That's the only thing that I can think of that I feel like I could manage. But they all suck.
Yeah, they are all very evil.
I would just quit
see.
video games.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you'd be like, I'm done. I'm out.
Yeah, like I said, it's not.
I would maybe go with the 16-button MMO mouse. Because okay, like optical sensor only ever works on your pant leg. That's definitely a hurdle, but it's not impossible to get over. And just because there are 16 buttons, that doesn't mean you have to use all of them. Yeah, you could just use it like a normal mouse. So I feel like that one's probably the most versatile.
I think I would also just not to be annoying and weasel my way into a better situation here. I would just make a desk with pants all over it.
Yeah. Wait, now that's solving the problem.
Yeah.
That's creative.
Your jean mouse pad.
Yeah.
I gotta get out my joust pad.
I am at my joust pad.
So yeah, that's what I would do too, I think. Just make my own joust pad.
For the record, that is the canonically correct answer. Yeah. Many of the questions that we get asked in the mailbag are pretty open-ended. That one had a correct answer, and you got it right.
Oh, thank you.
All right. From Mystic Eddie T. Which video game soundtracks would you most like to watch be performed live in a concert venue or at least play at an aftermath party? I mean, I was fortunate the other week. I went to the New York Video Game Awards, and they had like a kind of festival thing the day before, and it ended with Darren Korb and Ashley Barrett and some other folks playing a bunch of stuff from various Supergiant games, and kind of like an acoustic stripped down setting as opposed to like a full orchestra thing, and it was really cool. So I mean, I kind of got what I would have wanted already, and it was that.
What about you, Joshua?
Oh man, you don't have one ready? Do you want to stop?
No, I actually do have one. It's very specific, and I actually might be able to make this one come true. Not very many people know this, but Cowboy Bebop has a video game, Suiko no Serenade. It's a PS2 game. The music is done by Yoko Kanno, and she is making her appearance at Anime Boston this year. She's also performing in New York, like a week after Anime Boston. I already have tickets to Anime Boston, even though I don't give a shit about Anime Boston, to see her. I might try to get tickets for the New York show because it might be a little bit cheaper. But I'm determined to see this woman play because I don't know how else to explain it to you, but it would be the closest thing that I could say that I have come to seeing God on earth. So Like, I don't know if you've ever heard the Cowboy Bebop soundtrack or Yoko Kanno, but that shit literally changed my life. So, hopefully, one way or another, I will get to see her perform. I really want to see the New York performance though, because the Seatbelts will be with her, and that's like her
Hmm.
band or whatever. But I don't think they're performing with her at Anime Boston, or at least they didn't announce it. So, that's the one I want to go for. But I will settle for Anime Boston. I have to see this woman.
I think I
All
would go for
right.
something like crazy. Like it's got to be something that like doesn't feel like a score I would hear anywhere else. Um, and it makes me feel a little high even. You ever play the game Evergrace?
Mm-mm.
That game has a bonkers score. Um, and I think just like hearing that performed live would be wild. For stuff more familiar, I guess, like the people who score like Falcom games or the Xenoblade Chronicles
Oh,
games, like
yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
they go for it, man. Like that's they every instrument they can get their hands on, they throw in that shit, you know?
Yeah. Oh man, I meant to mention that during when we were talking about the direct, but they Falcom announced a new game today, like a one that I've not heard of, but I only wanted to use that as a springboard to talk about the fact that I'm playing the Trails in the Sky remake, and that game is dope as hell. Um,
It's
it's just
cool.
such a good JRPG. It's just like all the characters are like, that's the best one. No, that's the best one. No, that's the best one. And
How
one of the
far are
most
you?
prominent characters. I'm around 30 hours in, and I've been going really slow, so I just hit chapter 3.
Okay.
Um, yeah, but no, one of the most prominent characters in the game is a journalist named Niall,
Mhm.
and I am like, man, whoever wrote this character definitely did journalism at some point because all of his
So
lines are like, that's familiar. Yep, that is too. Like the ways that he's always like either trying to worm his way into a story or he's like, I should get comment from these people. I'm like, you should get comment from those people. Man, you're fucking right.
he's just like always smoking and tired.
Yep.
The that is a thing I genuinely love about all those games is that like uh they really care about having like they care about world building, and journalism is part of the world. You know,
Yep.
it's part of like after every chapter you get to pick up the newspaper, and like read him his story on what just happened.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's cool. I like those games.
Yeah.
Speaking of for journalism games, if you haven't had the chance, play News Tower. It's
Mm-hmm.
really good. It came out last year. It's basically you inherit your uncle's newspaper in 1920s New York, and it's like a management sim, but you also manage the paper. So you have to like send your journalists out to report on the stories, and they file them back, and you have to like manage your copywriter and your typesetter and all the different like administrative things of running a business, like keeping the lights on and your employees fed and happy. You also have to like choose how you report the news, whether you want to like appease the mayor and write about what he wants to write, or if you want to take a bribe from the mob to like, because you need money. It is a phenomenal game. I lost my life to it. Like, I lost my life to it. It was really bad, but it was so good and it was so fun and it was so great. Like, just in that work, that felt very familiar to me. Is a lot of fun. We need more games that dig into like how journalism works.
Yes, we do. And maybe people will finally understand how journalism works.
Yeah.
But I think that's kind of a pipe dream at this point. Yeah, journalism is going to go away entirely before people understand how it works.
Not
Oh
if I have
well.
anything to do with it.
Yeah, earlier you were like, I don't know if I have a future in this career. However, I'm going to be the last person standing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like the kind of way you have to think about it. Like realistically, yeah, but also, God damn it, you're gonna have to drag me out by my fingernails. So.
Yeah. Oof. That is a painful mental image. Um,
That's what it feels like.
I
yeah.
also had that reaction.
um, all right, from Jack. What's a question someone watching you play video games has asked you? Well, it's open ended.
Wait,
Is
say
it
that again?
What's a question someone watching you play video games has asked you? Presumably while watching you play the game, not just in general.
Oh.
This could get real dark real quick.
I know,
Just be
right?
like, like, are we okay?
Yeah. Have you heard from your father?
Uh, huh. any questions I've been asked have always been stupid questions.
I'm
Yeah.
just thinking of jokes. I'm sorry.
Or just like the very simple one of like, is it good? Like that tends to be the first one. It's like, is it a fun game? Do you like it? Are you having fun? Then you pick up
Yeah.
the controller that you've hurled across the room that's embedded in the drywall. Yes. Yes, I am.
Before this was a Twitter account, I got Can You Pet the Dog a lot.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
If
I
there,
used to
if
work
there,
with him. I have to say, used to now. He's the guy who runs our socials, the guy who runs the Can You Pet the Dog account. So what I would do is
um,
whenever I would have a key for a game and I was playing and there was a dog in it and there I pet the dog, I would let him know ahead of time. Just letting you know in Assassin's Creed, the one that just came out, you can pet the dog and the
Mhm.
Tanuki and all that stuff. Nice
Wow.
little
yeah.
memory.
Then Ubisoft blacklisted you.
Well, no, this was at The Verge. This Ubisoft, no, Ubisoft did, no, we didn't get blacklisted by them, I don't think.
Mhm.
No. But yes.
Well, great news about
Yeah.
now doing stuff for Aftermath. Barely anyone talks to us. So if you were like kind of getting irritated because like everyone was constantly emailing you being like, we want to let you know about this announcement, that announcement. We want to give you exclusives. Get ready for the opposite.
Hey, those emails weren't coming to me anyway. Usually my boss.
Ah,
Yeah.
well, that's regrettable. Let's see. Okay. Moving on to an easier question. From Drew, and I guess this kind of ties back to what we started with. What is your favorite fucked up controller?
Hmm.
Um,
I
okay.
really do like the crank on the play date. I think that's so
That's a good
neat.
answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that answer. The congas, the Donkey Kongas.
Yo,
Mm.
yes. That
I don't
was
know
my
if that's
shit back in
fucked
the
up,
day.
but
Didn't
like,
didn't Samba de Amigo, didn't they do
yeah,
maracas?
they did. They did. Yeah. Um, yeah. I feel like that's cheating because they're just instruments. It's not really a fucked up controller. I'm trying to think of
That's a
something
fucked
more
up
apt.
way to
Yeah.
control a game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I
that is
love
true.
the which was the platformer again? They put at the Donkey Kong platformer that you could play on the bongos.
Donkey
Oh man.
Congo, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was Conga. Yeah.
Yeah.
That game was great. That was just a really good platformer that you played in a kind of strange way. But it was, it stood alone. Like it worked as a game as opposed to a
Yeah.
gimmick.
I mean, okay,
Y'all ever
we're kind of.
see? Oh, go
Oh,
ahead,
I was
please.
gonna say we're getting outside the scope of the question, but I remember there, like a couple of GDQs ago, there was a guy who played Elden Ring on a saxophone.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
cool. I remember
That was
that. I
cool.
remember that guy.
Yeah.
Uh,
No,
an actual fucked up controller. I mean, it's not real, but if y'all seen that movie Existence, um, oh, you've never seen
No.
Existence? Oh, buddy. So it's David Cronenberg like body horror gaming movie, where
all
like
right.
people go have like VR experiences. It's like the Matrix, right? But the way that they do it is they take like this flesh controller. It's shaped like an Xbox controller, but it's made of flesh, and it jacks into a hole in your spine.
Oh.
Um, and yeah, it's weird. Like and again, it's like you know, like there's like body horror kink shit going on, right? Where it just sort of like you have to lubricate the hole with like chapstick, and like
Mm.
it's yeah, no, it's a whole thing, man. But if you want a if you want a fucked up game controller, that's
Mhm.
it.
They need to torment Nexus, the controller from that movie.
Yeah, yeah.
They'll be like, yeah, we made the weird spine hole controller from Existence.
Yeah.
From the movie Don't Make the Weird Spine Hole controller.
Yeah. That's basically. I don't think it's a very pro video game movie.
um, man, I have such a more normal answer, which is that I was just going to say the Steam controller that they put out a while ago,
Oh, that
because
is
it was very
cool and weird.
ambitious, but it made my hands hurt.
Isn't that the
And
thing with the little circle pads on the back?
yeah, and
Mhm.
like it definitely influenced what the Steam Deck would eventually become, which is good. But the Steam controller, it looked like the face of an owl, which I enjoyed. I was like, oh, it's like my little friend. But if you use that thing for more than like 40 minutes, your hands would start like cramping. It was just not made for a human. which I think was, kind of Valve's approach for a long time until they started to look around and be like, oh, yeah, there are people in this world who are not engineers. And then they changed. All right, let's see. From Doogie2K. Shitty tweet notwithstanding, how do y'all feel about Overwatch 3, definitely not Overwatch 2, which in turn is just now Overwatch? It seems closer to what we were promised all those years ago when they first called it Overwatch 2 and killed support for Overwatch 1. Let's see. Yeah. So let's start with that. How do you feel about this new thing that is called Overwatch?
She's got a new hat. Okay, you told me these things before and I have been burned, so let's wait to see what they do. If it works out for them, great, fantastic. It took you some years to get there, but you got there, champ. What did you do? What did you kill? Who did you let go to have it happen? But great, glad you all got
I
there.
mean, they killed Doomfist, apparently. That's like
They
canon
Heihachi
in the story.
Doomfist.
Yeah. Man, I'm still sad that Isaiah didn't blog that. We were talking in Slack yesterday, and Isaiah was just like, they Heihachi Doomfist. And we were like,
Like
they
they
did,
Heihachi
and also
Doomfist.
that's a headline.
Did
I
he
still feel
get
like the
like
ideal
thrown off
version
a
of that blog
volcano?
is just that as the headline, then that sentence again, but with an exclamation point as the body text and just a picture of it.
Did he literally get thrown off a cliff like
Yes.
Heihachi?
Yes.
Oh, so this is literal.
Yes.
Okay, that's
That
fun.
not to bring up old not to bring up more old Kotaku memories.
Why not?
I remember when Resident Evil Village, I think, came out, and we got this like clip of Lady Dimitrescu tossing her big dresser. I wrote a blog that was just that gif, and under it was like, God, I wish that were me.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, listen, you weren't
It
the
was
only
fun.
one. Like,
That was fun. I haven't thought about
Those
that in years.
Yeah. Well, I mean, really like setting into motion too what would follow in your career. Kind of planting your flag.
yeah.
Freak flag, right? Okay.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, Overwatch obviously in an interesting place because I think that, relative to where it was when it launched, people are much higher on it now, at least the people who are playing it. I actually saw a good point made by Kenneth Shepard over at Kotaku, though, about like with a live service game, you have all these people who played it for a time and then left, and their memory will always be of the version of the game that they played, even if the game has changed substantially since then and gotten a lot better. And so you have all these people who are like, saying, "Oh, this game sucks and it will never improve," blah 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 blah. And it's like, no, you're just like talking about something that probably happened like 2 or 3 years ago at this point. And so there was a lot of that too in the response to what they are now putting into the game. But I think all the current players were like, no, it's pretty solid. Like, it's not the best Overwatch it's ever been, but there's a foundation. And it seems like they are listening to player feedback and trying to shape it into into the game that players actually want. So that's promising.
Yeah, I think
That's
with
nice.
especially with live service games as they are now, you have to start really high and do your damnedest to keep that player base big because more often than not, all it's going to do is shrink until
Mhm.
you get it to a place where it's like stable and everybody enjoys it and it's got a good cadence of whatever, because that pool is only going to keep getting smaller because I really don't see people. I mean, you might get people who dip their toe back, every now and again, but you're never going to see that big whoop of support that you did in its earliest days. So maybe this is the thing that stabilizes them. Maybe it wins them back, but they're never
Mhm.
going to beat 2018 Overwatch.
I just also like speaking from a personal standpoint, like I played Overwatch when it first came out. I was really into it for those first couple of years. And then I hit a point with just sort of the way that the flow of matches and like the fact that when you are winning and often steamrolling, it feels great. And when you are losing, either like getting steamrolled or losing a slow war of attrition, it just feels bad. It is a fundamentally very frustrating experience when you are not winning. And that was sort of the point at which I said, I don't think I really want to play this anymore. Because I spend roughly half of my time playing it, my hours in the evening, being very
I,
frustrated.
I don't know if that's a problem endemic to Overwatch, if
I
not
do
just like
think that
live service games in
for
general.
sure. But I think that Overwatch's structure lends itself to that kind of frustration. Like
Oh,
the
for sure.
way that like teams can collapse and that people start like going off and doing their own thing, and you can feel the lack of team cohesion, and you're just mad about that, and you're mad about the way that you keep dying and having to like respawn and walk back only to die. Like there are all these little elements of I think that game's design in particular that are just like ugh, ugh. And like maybe the new modes that they've added since I played Overwatch have improved that. I don't know. I just don't think that Overwatch is a game I personally am going to go back to, even as to an extent, I miss the world and the characters and think that they had something fun going there. With that in mind, there's a second part of this question, which is, will anyone be maining Jetpack Cat when they're released?
No.
Yeah.
I
Here,
didn't like
here,
Hamster Ball when he came out, so not gonna get me again. So I feel like Monster Cat is just like a damn fine here kind of with them, because there was a point pretty much after like maybe Ramatra, but you could probably push it all the way back to Sigma, where they were like, no, we can't do weird freak shit anymore. Everybody has to be conventionally attractive lady characters with very narrow faces and like a medium range of skin tones right in the middle. And fat asses, great, which is lovely for all of us, but also they had something really, really great and really special with how they designed their characters. And yes, they were conventionally attractive before, but I feel like there was a lot more variety to it. You got a lot more body types, you got a lot more weird shit, and now it's just conventional hero shit. And I wish they had a little bit more balls to be weird again, but you know, it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And like, I saw a quote, I think yesterday, where they were saying, now that we've kind of established this more narrow range of what an Overwatch character can be, and like in their mind, I guess like that makes it easier to design skins and stuff. Like now we can kind of branch out again, but we'll see. I mean, the new batch of heroes, aside from Jetpack Cat, doesn't really seem that far outside the box. So, all right, let's see. I'm gonna actually tie a couple questions together from Unicorn Baroness. Um, how do you how do you reconcile the rampant sexism at Blizzard with the current hype about Overwatch? Tangentially, the reporting I read on Kotaku sounded a lot like, well, sexism is easier for us regarding the conventional attractiveness of available skins for characters. Ignore the bad for the good, Jetpack Cat, or is there a middle ground before just avoiding it being the game altogether? Um, yeah, I mean that's a toughie.
There's no ethical consumption under capitalism. Um,
Under Jetpack
which I
capitalism.
under not even. You got to pick and choose your battles. I have no dog in this fight particularly. I don't care. I'm not going back to the game. You could do. I don't particularly look one way or another if you choose to play it. That's not for me to arbitrate. You look to your own conscience for that.
Yeah, I
yeah. I
mean,
mean,
I think.
I
Oh, go ahead.
no, I
Sorry.
have
Yeah,
I have
okay.
no Overwatch thoughts.
Yeah,
uh,
head empty,
I
no
don't
Overwatch
really,
thoughts.
I don't really care about Overwatch.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I mean,
um,
I have a couple feelings on this, which one, I think that my bigger issue with anything put out by Blizzard and not just Overwatch is, tying it back to the Microsoft BDS stuff,
yeah.
ban, divest, sanction, and everything happening in Palestine. And that's always the consideration that I make when I'm choosing to potentially write about anything related to Blizzard, which usually ends up mostly being labor issues, which are relevant to, game workers and things of that nature. Or even like, uh, I'm going to run a piece eventually. It's been in the CMS forever. It's done. About like it's a follow up on the weird Diablo Blood PC they released a handful of, or that they uh, gave somebody in a competition a couple of years ago. And I was always curious about how it worked and how do you put blood in a PC and how does that not fuck up the cooling and everything. So I finally tracked down that person and interviewed them. But even that begins after a certain point to take the shape of like, positive coverage for Blizzard or marketing. And I'm like, man, how do you know, reconcile that, I guess? And so I have a bit very close to the beginning mentioning the BDS stuff. But that's more to me always the challenge with anything pertaining to Blizzard or Microsoft is, how do you make sure that you are covering things that are relevant to the field of games because you're a journalist and that's your job, while also noting the, I think, much more consequential kind of real world events surrounding this company in particular. And then, like, of course, then that ties back to, you know, a company like that is willing to play ball with Israel is probably also on some level willing to do other oppressive things like engage in acts of sexism. So, you know, it all ties together. But yeah, that's my 2 cents on a very tangled web.
Yeah, it's not easy, and I don't envy you guys because you at least now have it a little bit harder than I did because, you know, I can easily justify covering Microsoft or other things under BDS. It's like it's my job, I have to do it. I was told to
Mhm.
do this. This is what I had to do. I can try to wiggle within that in terms of like mentioning BDS and things like that, you know, when you do those kinds of things, but when it comes down to, you know, whether I would or whether I wouldn't, I I think there's a way to do it without being fawning about it in a way that is of service to readers and of interest because, you know, we talk a lot about our platforms or whatever, but we're also just people and we also like doing the thing that we like. And sometimes talking about cool shit and figuring out how cool shit, how it works is interesting and worth pursuing, even if it is downstream of like these horrible entities, because again, no ethical consumption under capitalism. And like I said, I don't envy that choice because I don't know what I would choose. So.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for
It
us, it's
also just
weird
comes
because,
down. Sorry.
yeah, no, go ahead.
I mean, it also just comes down to what do you want to let in your head, right?
Yeah.
Like, uh, what do you call it? Like the person who asked the question specifically asked about like the Blizzard, um, like the struggles with sex. I don't know quite exactly what they're referring to. This might have
Yeah.
been what the story from a while back, right? A few years ago. Is that what they're talking
I
about?
think they're talking more about like the way that characters are designed for Overwatch now. And again,
Gotcha.
like Ash was saying, like the narrow range of body types and skins and things like that.
Hmm.
And then maybe also, you know, going back to what happened years ago where it was revealed that there was endemic sexism at Blizzard.
Right.
So, you know,
Yeah.
all these things.
So I mean, I would say that like you need to like it's important to remember and acknowledge that they're still in the business of making a live service game, right? They are only interested in reflecting you and your experience as far as it will get them more money, you know, and you know, like I don't I think it is maybe like a cultural win if like more companies in the whole and in the collective feel that they have to be representative of a wider swath of the population in order to be viable, in the market. I don't necessarily think it's a win if like one game does it, you know,
Mhm.
because that's just like one game that wants my money, you know. And you're not just spending money and time on a game. You're spending goodwill, you know. And like I think if you want to figure out what the answer to that question looks like to you, think about those intangible things that you're spending on the game, um, and whether or not you want to invest that in it, because like none of it's going to love you back, you know.
Mm.
Yeah, that's for damn sure. All right, from a Paschetti. Is there a story/event that all of you ex Kotaku folks wish you could have covered together? Let's see. I love how Aftermath Hours keeps up with the current events and imagine there'd be a cool or fun episode about the inclusion of Piranha Plant and Smash or something like that. So yeah, story or event that we all wish we could have covered together. I guess maybe like to narrow it some, like back in the day when we were actually there as opposed to like in the far flung future.
I mean, I wish we could have. Everybody tells me, no, you don't. But E3 still sounds like one of those
Yeah.
magical things that you had to be there for, at least before its current decline. Like, I mean, like in the heyday, like 2007, 2008, where, you know, it was just basically a video game bacchanalia. That sounds like that would be interesting.
Yeah. Actually, I thought of something. Because right when I left Kotaku, that is when all the Blizzard sexism stuff came out. And so I was like between jobs for like when that was all breaking. And I was sort of like sitting on the sidelines being like, oh man, I wish that I could have like covered that, with Ethan.
Mm-hmm.
Or that I could have been at the Washington Post by that point covering it actively. And instead I didn't either. So it's like, damn,
Oh, that
that
sucks.
sucks. Yeah.
That was not, I mean, I was at the Verge when that happened. That was not fun.
Yeah.
I think,
I mean,
yeah.
yeah, I don't imagine, I cannot imagine it was fun to do, but I felt like I was not being useful. I was like, wait, this is like a major industry scandal. This is like one of the biggest things that has happened to date,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
in my time as somebody covering games. And I'm just like twiddling my thumbs, being like, okay, well, I guess all of you sort that out.
Oh, well.
um, let's see. Okay. We have two more questions, then we're done. From the Zothman. It's an interesting name. If you were and this is an interesting question, if you were a Christ-like figure of a religion that believed in transubstantiation, what would your body and blood be? I'm a Skittles and Pepsi guy. Fiance is a purple Doritos and white Gatorade gal. Huh. All right. A liquid and a solid. Would mine be?
Can I be, instead of a Christ-like figure, can I actually be Christ?
Yeah, okay. I'm interested. Keep going. I'm going to allow it.
This is going to sound really bad, but the ultimate troll. I want everybody black to cover their ears for a second. We're doing henny and fried chicken just because it would piss white people off.
Like
Also,
being
it's fun. Like, come on, you go to church and you get henny and fried chicken. What the fuck? That's awesome. That's a party.
uh, I think I would probably, it should be like, it should maintain that ceremony of like breaking bread. So like, but I would want it to be delicious. So like monkey bread, probably, right? Just-
This is my
and
body,
then
which has been pulled apart for you.
yeah, exactly. So you feel bad, but it's also delicious. And then I guess like, you know, just like a good whiskey, because like,
Mm.
it should burn a little bit, but it should, uh, you should come to appreciate it. And if you don't, then you're just not cool. I don't know. Yeah, that's what came to mind for me.
I was a
Yeah.
kid with a very overactive imagination who was sent to Catholic school at a very young age, which was a big mistake. And I had the Catholic school that was like Stations of the Cross and the whipping and the beating. And can you imagine being a child with an overactive imagination and taking everything literally? So not only are we watching this poor, very nice man get beaten to death, you also have to eat him. I was a fucked up
Mm.
child. This is second grade.
No, the Catholics will do that to you. I
Yeah,
went
they
to
do.
like a Messianic temple for a little while when I was
Mm.
very small. And Messianic Jews are Jewish people who believe in Christ, like the way Christians do. Um, and so, like, I remember being a lad, and when they would do communion, it would be challah bread and manischewitz, and I just remember because like it was my first taste of like actual wine when I was like, I don't know, a preteen or something like that. And I had never had challah bread before. And I was like, this is incredible. I'm just eat and drink this stuff all day. This is like way better than the Protestant church where they just give you like a pasta wafer or something,
Yeah. Oh
And
man.
grape juice. Can you
and grape
imagine
juice.
being
Yeah,
so
that shit
Yeah.
sucked.
disappointed? Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, I was like, this is awful. Like the
Mhm.
wafer is not just flavorless, it is the absence of flavor, which is a different thing.
It's
Mhm.
also
It's
the
like taking
absence
the
of
flavor from
moisture.
you. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, it's just unpleasant. Um, yeah, that's whatever my thing, because I can't like think of anything specific, but I would want it to be like very rich and flavorful to make up for that. Like really, give the people a great time. Prime rib,
Yeah.
just a
Nathan's
hunk
like,
of
I'm
prime
Kobe.
rib. Yeah,
Kobe
prime
beef.
rib and whatever sauce you want to put on that. All right, let's see. From Lexi, any other recommendations for games that have clever fourth wall breaks like Paranormasight or Metal Gear Solid?
Ooh, good
Uh,
question.
just popped in my head. Y'all remember Boktai? That other the Kojima game with the sun sensor?
No.
Hmm. Yeah,
That game was sick.
it was like a weird cartridge, right? With like a solar
Yeah.
panel on it. Yeah,
Yeah, for the
yeah,
Game Boy Advance.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And like where you were with like the sun and the position of it affected your ability to like solve certain puzzles and make it through the game.
Hmm.
That was cool.
It's not really fourth wall breaking,
I
but I
mean, the whole
feel like
game is working. Oh, sorry. Good.
I was thinking of Baba Is You.
Yo,
I like
yes.
that weird perspective shifty kind of things. It's not exactly like you, but also it is kind of you too. So I don't know. There is one, I can't remember it, but I feel like there is one game that I've experienced that has that like fourth wall breakiness of it, and I can't think of what it is. But I love that stuff where you have to like use things from outside of the game to figure it out. Like any game where you have to like physically write notes, so like blueprints, love that shit. That shit's great.
Yeah, there's shit. It's gonna come to me after we
I know,
move
right?
on, and then I'll interrupt Nathan and be like, "Wait, I remember."
Yeah.
Um, I feel like there's a horror game I like that does this besides Paranormasight. Um,
Hmm.
oh, I will. I have my answer.
Okay.
Nier Automata. Uh,
Mm.
Yeah.
the famous ending E of that game, which is the last
Mm-hmm.
of the 5 main endings, which I kind of think of them as chapters more than like endings.
Mm.
Makes sense.
But that game will aggressively ask you what you think of it at one pivotal point, and it's just like, what? You know? And it does something really cool with that. That's not for you, Junbo.
Yeah, I know. I'm pretty similar. I will also at one point aggressively ask people what they think of me. And yet no one thinks it's cool when I do it. That's weird. I just go around handing people surveys. Like, what did you think of, our interaction today? How could I improve? Um,
How did I do
but
it?
yeah, with all of that said, I think that's the end of our show. Speaking of that, if you enjoyed it, feel free to leave a review on Apple or Spotify. Also, if you enjoyed it, even more helpful would be to subscribe to Aftermath, which you can do at aftermath.site. There's a big old button that lets you subscribe. We record the show every Thursday. Also, wait, I went into the inflow without doing the important thing. Ash and Josh, where can people find you?
You can find me on Blue Sky at Astra ADASHTRA, and you can find me every once in a while hanging out with you fine folk on Aftermath.site.
You've got a cool handle. I've never come up with anything
Oh,
clever.
right? It's really good.
My my Blue Sky handle is just JM Rivera. My name.
What does the M stand for?
Matthew.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. And the yeah, that's where I'm at Blue Sky. And you can find me writing in Slate, The Ringer, and monthly Aftermath. That site.
Yeah. Look forward to it. Coming soon to an Aftermath near you. But yeah, with all that said, record the show live on Twitch every Thursday at 4 p.m. ET ish. We have actually, I think, never hit that time correctly. Whatever, y'all get it at this point. In any case, we will be back next week. But until then, have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.
Peace.